So in the Cincinnati area, and well, you actually cover kind of obviously southern Ohio and northern Kentucky, right? Because Cincinnati's kind of right on the line there. How does that differ from a probate perspective in the two different markets? And how long does it usually take to like probate and get a deal to the finish line in your market?
I mean, most of the deals that I've done, we're usually in the 30 to 60 day range. Realistically, we historically have not done a bunch of the, hey, we got to close in 10 days. We just haven't had a lot of those super fast turns. A lot more of it has been the relationship, what needs to happen, what does the process look like, who all needs to be involved, what does it look like? And yeah, we tend to be looking at 30 to 60 days on that.
Okay. So you know the market in Cincinnati best. You mentioned you've been doing this for 10 years now. Your wife's an agent. And what would you say are some of the things that you recommend a seller watch out for in the Cincinnati market when they're selling their property?
I think this is the same regardless of market, but the biggest things to watch out for are if you get that gut feeling that says, I don't trust what's going on, slow down. Take your time. I think that is while it is a huge benefit to get your money super quick, making sure that you get the deal done that you want to get done is important. And so I would say that just watching out for, again, I'm a huge proponent of trust your gut. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. And maybe if it is, even if it is right, if somebody doesn't want to give you the time or explain why it's right, to pivot back and actually be able to say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. But like, I don't know. I think that there can be a lot of railroading and kind of saying, hey, just do this at this time. We do it, and it's like, no, take your time, slow down, do what you need to do your due diligence, ask a bunch of people, and go from there.
Yeah, especially when you're working with investors, make sure you're working with the right person, right? And you're going to get a lot of people that tell you different things, and then you're going to get people to tell you what you want to hear. I always say this, like, we have people reach out to us, right? And they'll maybe reach out to like 5 other investors, right? And they'll get offers on their property, and they'll get like 3 offers that are all like pretty close to one another, like within, less than $5,000 of one another when an offer, right? They're all in that same kind of thing. And then they get these like 2 other offers that are like way up here, right? Like just $50,000, $80,000 more, right? In my experience, and I've been right about this almost all the time, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but the other offer up here, there's 2 other offers up here that are just way higher, that are the outliers compared to the other ones. They never work out. It's some wholesaler telling you what you want to hear. They're not necessarily trying to be malicious, but it could be like some overzealous, an overzealous couple that was watching HGTV last night and saw you and Christina on TV flip a house, and now they want to flip a house, right? And they're like, oh, we'll give you this. Mm-hmm. And then they offer you this way up, and then they start doing their numbers, and they're like, oh, wait a second. This isn't going to work out, right? The 3 offers you had that were within $5,000 of one another, those people kind of all know what they're doing. That's like me and you and other experienced investors who are like, yep, know my numbers, done this 100 times. I'm right here, right? And pick one of those offers, the 3 that are really close together, because or you might get the one that's like way down here. Don't take that one, right? Don't take the outliers. Don't take the one way up here. Don't take the one way down here. But if you get these 3, take those 3 and figure out who you like the best, which company you like the best. And if you like that company the best, say, hey, look, Mr. Colin, or maybe Colin, you're one of them. I've got this other offer and it's right here with you. I really want to do business with you. Can you give me another $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever? A lot of times we can, right?
I had that exact thing happen. I was doing a deal, and the guy was like, man, I want to sell it to you. I got this offer that's right there. I mean, is there, I'm like, dude, I can throw you, I think it was like $2,000. I was at 165 and he wanted 167. I was like, dude, I'll throw you $2,000 for that. Because at the end of the day, it's like, cool. I'll give a little, you give a little. This is awesome. Let's get it done. Bought the house. Week later, off we went.
Right. And as you know, our rehab budgets are kind of roundabout, right? Give or take $5,000, right? Like at the end of the day, have you ever spent exactly what you budgeted on rehab?
No.
It's usually more.
I got real close on one. That was, I threw a little party for myself, and I think I was within $1,000 of my budget. So.
Oh man, that's like hitting a hole in one in golf right there. Yeah.
So that was my favorite project that I've done in a long time. To get done with it and feel like, oh, nail it.
Right. But the reality is we're usually about, I'm usually about $5,000 off, give or take, right? So if you get the offer and you come to back to me or you call in and you're like, hey, we've got these 3 offers and this other one, can you give me another $1,000 or $2,000 or $2,500 or whatever? The reality is I probably can't. Or I'll give you a great example. We're working on a deal right now with a gentleman. He actually moved out of state, and we made an offer to him for his house, and he said, "Hey, I would like to get a little bit more." And then he said, part of the reason I want to get a little bit more is there was a car in the garage, and he's like, I really want that car, And we said, well, how about we do this? What if we get the car to you, right? Yeah. How's that sound? And he's like, that would be great. Like because he's like, really, I just want another $1,500 because there's something's wrong with the car. I think it needs this, and then I've got to get it to me, and he's about 300 miles away. And it's like, well, hey man, you know what? Like my buddy owns an auto transport company. Like, how about I told him, I said, look, I used to work on cars when I was in college. I asked him to describe, I was like, it's probably a battery or a starter. I'll go over there and I'll fix the car. And then I'll call my car shipping buddy and I'll just put it on one of his trucks and I'll get the car down to you where you're at. And that's that. But I need a key from you. So can you FedEx me a key? So because we got to crank the car to get it on the truck, and we'll get the car to you. And he's like, that sounds great. Like that's good. Cause all these other guys that were offering me money, they didn't even think about the car. They were kind of letting me deal with the car. Right. I said, no, we'll just get the car. We'll get the car to you. Right. And that costs him money. Right. But to him, he's like, and it's going to cost us money too. But I'm like, okay, well, there's that $2,000 difference. How about we stick with my offer and then I'll throw in and I'll get the car to you, within 2 weeks or whatever. And he said,
see how often it's not about the money.
Right.
It is. You got to get your offer right-ish. But a lot of times it's always the, and if you take the time to listen, to slow down and say, well, what do you actually want? Do you want this to happen easily? Do you want to sell it to somebody you trust? I've got a deal I'm working on right now that it's very much about, we don't want, it's in a part of town that a lot of knockdowns are happening in. And the big thing they care about, which we're working through right now, is not having it knocked down. And it's like, well, which one's more important? The amount of money that you're going to get, and at the end of the day, it's worth the same, realistically, whether it's rehabbed or knocked down. Project's just easier if it's knocked down. Okay. And that's one of those where it's like, oh, but that's right? That's what is the thing you actually want? Yes, money and peace of mind, money and simplicity, money and the house to be loved, right? Like I've been contacted by people that have dealt with other wholesalers before on a different inheritance property. And They reached out saying we didn't like that they just bought it and turned it around and it got done crappily, and really didn't honor the property at all. It's like, okay, well, that's not how we tend to roll on how we get things done. We want to do beautiful work that honors the home as it was. So many different things that it's never just the money. I mean, sometimes it's just the money, but that's pretty obvious what that is. And a lot of times, even that's not just the money. It's never just the money.
Especially with an inherited house. And the people that it's just about the money, they're probably best to like auction the property off. Like hire an auction company, do the highest bidder, whatever.